Good day guys, and welcome to another video. I am so excited to talk to you. I'm not in my normal location. Usually I'll be down on Dead End. Honestly, I tried to film this video more than once at Dead End, and there was so much cars and so much planes that the footage was basically unusable. So I decided to have a more intimate conversation with you about the movie that I just saw. And of course, you could read it from the title, the One Love Bob Marley movie. So I saw this movie early in the week after reading about it, reading reviews, after seeing a lot of TikToks about it, even a lot of opinions before everyone really saw the movie. But I still went into this movie with a clear mind to enjoy the experience. And I personally must say, I really enjoyed this movie, and I would recommend that everyone try to go and see this movie, especially in the cinema. Let's support it. It's not often we see Caribbean culture up on the screen like this, especially with a big budget picture. So let's, try to support it. And I'm fully aware that a lot of people have certain issues with this movie. So let me try to address those issues before I get into the movie itself. The casting. I know that a lot of people would say that, why did they cast an English person? Kingsley Ben-Adir, he played the role of Bob Marley, and Lashana, I forget her name, I'll put it up. She played the role of Rita Marley. They are both English actors. There was a lot of disappointment even when this movie was being made, when the casting was announced, of a lot of Jamaicans disappointed the role of Bob Marley is not being played by Jamaica. And honestly, I understand that feedback. I understand wanting to have a Jamaican represent such a legendary person from Jamaica. There are certain realities that we have to keep in mind. Although Jamaicans feel a real close connection, and rightfully so, to Bob Marley, we have to remember that this movie is a big budget Hollywood production. It was made by Paramount, so they're investing a lot of money into this. They want some kind of marquee, some kind of name to help sell the movie to audiences outside of Jamaica. All right, so this needs to be a worldwide hit. So to sell the picture internationally, they need name, like some star power name. Although a lot of people might know the two stars, they're actually very much up and coming. Kingsley Ben-Adir actually recently played Malcolm X in a movie called One Night in Miami. He was Gravik in the MCU show, I forgot the name of it, and he was in the Barbie movie, plus one or two other things. So he is an up and coming name, and he does have some recognition. And of course, we know Lashana from Bond. She was in the last Bond movie. She was in a few of the MCU movies. She was in The Warrior King or The Warrior Woman. I forgot the name of that movie. Again, another name where there is some recognizability, where people will be like, oh, I know her. Ziggy Marley, the son of Bob Marley, is a producer on this, and he handpicked Kingsley Ben-Adir to play this role. So to me, that counts for something. He saw something that this person could represent his father. And this wasn't like a movie where they just went and they do what they want and they didn't get permission. No, the Marley family and the Tough Gong company was very much involved in this production. They were involved in the music, they were involved in the casting. From what I heard, they even helped with the writing. It wasn't just like, let's go and do this and then they do all kind of craziness. No, this had the stamp and the blessing of the Marley family. And now we're getting into like the movie itself and the story. A lot of people would say that this movie kind of whitewashes Bob Marley's legacy a little bit. We all know that Bob Marley had a lot of children for different women, and a lot of people really it seemed like they wanted the movie to focus on that. And the movie did address it a little bit. We have to understand that is not what the movie is about. It had larger themes that the movie was trying to portray. And again, we must remember the Marley family was very much involved with this production. And Ziggy Marley being a producer, I am sure he wants to protect the legacy of his father. He wants to more show his genius, his songwriting genius. But it was more about the man and his legend. I am actually glad that it was more about that than bacchanalish, you know what I mean? The majority of people seeing this movie, they want to go and they want to hear the music, they want to learn a little more about the legend himself and just see him and his music. If you pay attention to all the other musical biographies over the past few years, they focus a lot more on the legend of these people and the music, and less about the areas of their life that might be a bit problematic. Why did I like this movie? I am a designer. I am an artist, so to speak. Like I like graphic design. That's what I was trained in. Theater and movies is another form of art. We have to try to understand what the artist is trying to say, what themes are they trying to bring across? And a lot of times people go into movies, especially these days when you can get so much information online about certain events and this and that, especially like you see it like with the Star Wars and MCU movies where people are like, it has to say this, it has to be that, or they didn't do this, they didn't do that. And people forget the experience. Just watching a movie in the theater is an experience. I wish people would give in more to that experience and try to enjoy what the artists, the directors, the writers, the editors, the song guy, what they're trying to do, the themes they're trying to bring across, the feeling they're trying to give you. I went into this movie and I said, I'm in Jamaica. I'm watching a movie about the ultimate Jamaican legend. I'm just going to enjoy the experience. I'm going to be hearing the music on the big screen. And with that mindset, I had a blast with this movie. So from the beginning of this movie, I was hooked. It opened up with this woman soulfully humming redemption song, just humming the melody for it. And you're seeing a little boy, Bob Marley, he couldn't be more than, 7 or 8 years. And his mom on the country road waiting for the country bus. And they're gone on the bus and you're hearing this and he's tired and he's resting his head on his mother's chest. And that got to me, that experience, and they're driving on the little dirt road and they're going through the Jamaican hills. That really got to me. Just from the beginning, that alone, I was like, whoa, I was into that experience. And then, it cut to when he was older because the movie didn't follow like a linear narrative. It jumped straight away to when he was already very popular, was leading up to the Smile concert. There was a lot of political violence. You guys can read about that time frame between the two ruling parties. Real political violence. Jamaica was chaos back then. He was this unifying figure. The political parties and different people trying to use him, and he's trying his best to kind of stay out of things. The reporters trying to push their narrative when they're talking to him. A lot of things happening. It led to an assassination attempt at his home where he got shot. One of his secondary guys who is with him all the time, who organizes everything, he got shot 6 times. And Rita Marley got shot in her head and only her dreads protected her. Imagine that. So the 3 of them got injured. Bob Marley got injured in his arm, so he was okay. Rita Marley stayed a few days in the hospital, and of course this guy, he survived thankfully. Of course that experience really disturbed him. He is trying to be that unifying figure. The Jamaicans almost killed him. You know what I mean? It was, I think, a very hurtful experience, and they portrayed it like that. And he wanted to protect himself, and he went up into the Blue Mountain Hills, seeing the car driving through the Blue Mountain Hills, seeing all the Rastas around him and all of his friends, and they're talking using their Jamaican slang, and they're stooping, or you guys say they're hissing their teeth, like you don't really see that in other shows and other movies. And representation matters, man, because we've gotten so accustomed as Caribbean people. We're watching movies in the US, based in Europe and whatnot. I just found it very refreshing to see a Caribbean movie and seeing these people and how they interact with each other and how they're talking. It's something so familiar. You know what I mean? I was just eating it up, man. He did the concert. Rita Marley, very strong woman, and Lashana played that role so well. She actually came out of hospital to help him and to sing back up on the concert, like maybe a few days or a week after it happened. During the concert, he had flashbacks to the shooting, and this is how the movie portrayed it. And then he left, and he went to the UK because he felt unsafe. He felt betrayed by Jamaica. And when he was in the UK, they showed you the writing of a few songs of the Exodus album, and I enjoyed that so much. It showed you the genius of him coming up with the song Exodus. It showed him coming up with the song Natural Mystic. And they hired this session guitarist that worked with Stevie Wonder, and back then he had the kind of wavy hair, and how the Jamaicans making fun of this guy. It was so funny. It had some really nice moments where you kind of pick up on the Caribbean thing. While all this is happening, they're giving flashbacks to when he was like a teenager and he met Rita. They're trying, they're going to a record producer in Kingston, and you actually hear them playing a little ska music, and you hear him talking to Rita and saying, I thought you didn't like brown man, and the cinema laugh. Because the kind of language, it really speaks to that experience of being Jamaican and being in the Caribbean. They showed a flashback to when he was that little boy as the movie started. The mother was taking him to see his father, who was a white man, and the father rejected him, because the mother wanted to go to the US to work and she wanted the father to take care of him, and he rejected him. The movie was forming a narrative of the rejection he faced as a child to the rejection he felt after the assassination attempt. Him trying to come to terms with that, trying to come to terms with returning to Jamaica, with forgiving Jamaica. You know, and that's what I mean. You have to look at the narrative line with what they were trying to portray. So it's drawing those parallels. And then Rita came to visit him, and it had nice moments with him and Rita. You know, he was getting very militant in his things, like when you talk about Natural Mystic, and then you're talking about Exodus and whatnot. And Rita was trying to remind him. She was telling him, you know, I always like your love songs, and to show him writing, I want to give you some love. You know, some really nice scenes with two of them together. They did that so well, it felt like a camera was there watching Bob Marley and Rita Marley, and not a setup scene, not a movie. You know what I mean? The narrative of him having, you know, different women and whatnot, they didn't deny it. They didn't like push it aside and try to pretend like it never happened. There is a scene where him and Rita was arguing, and you know, he got upset because he saw Rita talking to somebody, and she got upset with him, saying, you know, she sacrificed so much for him. And it kind of showed you where Bob Marley, being the legend that he is, I'm not sure if he even understands the legend that he is, but Rita did, and she made a lot of sacrifices to ensure that that legend continued. They were arguing, and she mentioned that while he is touring and while he is writing the music and he's off in thing, she is taking care of the children, even children that is not her own. And you saw flashes of Damien Gong's mother, you know, the model. I forgot, she wins some beauty contest, but you saw flashes of that, but that wasn't the core narrative of the movie. And eventually he came to terms after spending time in the UK writing, and you saw Chris Barkwell, the producer, and writing the songs, and just again seeing the interaction between him and the Wailers and the way they address him, and they keep saying chief, and there was such a good support system. And musically, you know, when he's trying to figure it out and they're trying to groove with him and they're coming up with the music, it was so good to see that creative process. The whole movie could have been that for me. The whole movie could have been Bob Marley and the Wailers writing music, and I would have been happy because it was so good to see that creative process. And then, you know, eventually he found out he had the cancer because of the damage to one of his toes and whatnot. Well, that was when they found out he had it. He eventually came to terms with it, you know, with that he needs to forgive Jamaica. You know, it is the land of his birth, and he came back to Jamaica because the violence continued after elections and they wanted to have a unity concert. And he came back, and the people was so happy to see him. You know, there was a crowd waiting for him in the airport, and you saw the old Air Jamaica plane. He was driving into his house in Kingston, and people running behind the car. He was back at his house. There was a scene where the young man who shot him appeared in the house to ask for forgiveness. Now, this didn't happen, but what was more important is the theme of him forgiving this young man. In doing that, shows that he has forgiven Jamaica for betraying him, for trying to kill him. And it ended with him doing the unity concert and some footage of the real Bob Marley dancing on stage, singing the music and whatnot. And then of course it said that he died at age 36. It is just a reminder of he was only 36 years old. He is so legendary, and the amount of impact he has had on musicians. If you look at what their influences were, a lot of them would say Bob Marley. The Exodus album was voted the most important album of the 20th century. I could tell you the impact because I've seen it personally. As you guys know, I lived in Tunisia for about 5 years. Now, Tunisia is literally on the other side of the world. There is the souks where they sell all the Arabian stuff, like what you see in Prince of Persia and whatnot. You're walking through the old town and they're selling all of these trinkets. And in a lot of these stores, I have seen Bob Marley trinkets being sold in Tunisia. Next to I went out with some friends there once, and there was a live band. This was years and years ago. The band sang Iron Lion Zion. Now, I remember this clearly because English is not their first language. So they were really pronouncing the R in iron. So they were singing iron like a lion in Zion. You know, and I wanted to tell the guys, you know, you don't have to stress on the R so much. That is the impact he has had throughout the world, all right? No matter where you go, people hear of Bob Marley, and one of the reasons people know Jamaica worldwide is because of Bob Marley and his music. I just wanted to, you know, just go over my thoughts on the movie and why I think it was well done, and I really do appreciate it. Again, just seeing Caribbean culture, Rastafari culture on the screen was fantastic. Just seeing the themes of abandonment and betrayal and how he came to terms with it, and how the Rastafari religion helped him come to terms with it, was shown so well in the movie. So please, no matter where you are, go and see this movie. I think it was so well done. This is a movie, when it comes out on streaming, I will watch over and over. I just really enjoyed it. Anyway, guys, that's my rant. I know I've just been talking and talking, but I just really wanted to get that out there. As always, guys, I really do appreciate you watching the video. Watch all the other videos, you know, go back. You know, I kind of hit a little spurt, and I don't want that to end, you know what I mean? So go and watch all the new guys, go and watch back my old videos. Leave comments, that's very important. Tell me what you thought of the movie if you saw it. And what I would love to hear from you guys, if you've traveled and you've seen the impact of Bob Marley, or if you've seen Bob Marley popping up in different places, what it was. I'll be very interested to read that in the comments. So as always, thanks guys for watching. I really do appreciate it. Remember to like the video, Remember to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Okay? Bye.